All right, here we go. So I'll begin my presentation with 3 short passages from 3 different historical sources. Each one of these is describing a different individual. He spent day and night in the streets, naked, shunning neither heat nor cold, made game of by the children and lads who were idling about. The next is from the 6th century. Often indeed, when his belly sought to do its private function, immediately and without blushing, he squatted in the marketplace, wherever he found himself, in front of everyone. The third, and finally, is from the 16th century. Of this kind, there are not many, because it is a very hard and cold profession to go naked in Russia, especially in winter. Among others at this time, they have one at Moscow that walketh naked about the streets. So 2 of those individuals that I just described are canonized saints, and one is just considered simply to have been mad. But how are we to decide which is which? To answer this question, I'll outline a theory of ambiguous performance, but before that, I want to review the foundations on which it rests, which is cultural pragmatics. So cultural pragmatics asserts that all actions are symbolic to some degree, that our behavior constitutes performance. From this perspective, we're all merely players that are forever working upon the stage to display for others the meaning of our social situation. And just as in theatrical performances, such social performances can be said to succeed or fail in varying degrees. So Jeff Alexander contends that for an action to be successful, an individual or collective actor must be able to communicate the meaning of their actions that they consciously or unconsciously want others to believe. So the point is to convince our audience that we are in fact who we say we are. That we are the roles that we portray. That we are men, women, fathers, barbers, priests, academics. Whether we're actually these roles is, in some ontological sense, not important for this work, but rather how it's received. So in order for an actor to communicate his meaning according to this theory, 2 things must happen. First, he must persuade his audience that he's genuine, that he's sincere in his performance. Second, he must see to it that the audience apprehends the meaning of his performance. And to do this, both performer and audience must rely on shared meaning structures. For example, in my effort to portray myself as a father, I'll call upon my cultural cues, religious traditions, popular media. I will read bedtime stories to my daughter. I'll teach her to ride a bike. I will intimidate her boyfriends. I will forbid her to wear a bat skirt, etc. Right? So I will endeavor to have the audience, whichever audience I'm performing for, believe that I am in fact a father. I will give a monosemous performance, one meant to be interpreted in precisely one way. Now, the 2 conditions for the success of a performance reveal the fact that, regardless of my intentions, the actor does not have complete control over the outcome of his performance. On the contrary, in the end, it's the audience that will determine the meaning and the degree of authenticity of a performance based on their system of cultural symbols and their own interior interpretive constitution. Now, until now, cultural pragmatics has recognized only this monosemous performance type. But this does not capture the range of performance we actually observe in the social world. Instead, I argue we need a continuum, one that has at one pole monosemous performance and at the other ambiguous performance. So an ambiguous performance is one that projects a single, multi-stable role, I'll explain this in a moment, to its audience. Such a performance comprises essential elements of 2 or more incompatible roles, but so unifies them as to form a single persona. When faced with such performance, the audience must decide how to interpret it, favoring one incompatible role or the other. So we're all familiar with the duck-rabbit image, most likely. One way you look at it looks like a duck, possibly a rabbit, goes back and forth. This is what I mean by multi-stability. It's one image, or one role being portrayed, but it's seen in either one of 2 different incompatible perspectives. And in the same way, so too does an ambiguous performance project a single goal that admits of only one of two or more incompatible interpretations at a time. So to demonstrate the existence of such performances in the social world, I will draw on the example of holy fools. Holy fools, like martyrs, apostles, and prophets, constitute a unique hagiographic category within the Christian tradition. Although their sanctity is generally recognized by most Christian traditions or denominations, they're especially revered in the Eastern Orthodox Church, where each is honored annually on his saint's day. The celebration will typically involve chanting a special hymn in honor of the saint, prayers to the saint, kissing the icon of the saint. However, the Holy Fool is, to many moderns, one of the most bizarre, if not offensive, characters to have ever haunted the stage of history. And, in this judgment, contemporary society is not alone. Indeed, every epoch in which the Holy Fool has appeared has, by and large, considered him repulsive, repugnant, and worse. As we will soon see, this interpretive tension between vile and virtuous is a result of the saint's ambiguous performance. Now, the most conspicuous quality of the Holy Fool is, of course, his foolishness. In this, we can include indecency, mockery, childishness, pranks, imbecility, babbling, and frequently the symptoms of a variety of mental illnesses. An early instance of such impropriety on the part of a Holy Fool can be read in the 6th century. Sometimes he pretended to have a limp. Sometimes he jumped around. Sometimes he dragged himself along on his buttocks. Sometimes he stuck his foot out for someone who was running to trip him. Not typically what we think of as saint-like behavior. This same saint often skipped and danced, holding hands with one dancing girl on this side, another on that, and he associated with them and played with them in the middle of the whole circus, so that the disreputable women threw their hands into his lap, fondled him, poked him, and pinched him. Once, on finding a dead dog on a dunghill outside the city, he loosened the rope on his belt and tied it to the dog's foot. He dragged the dead dog as he ran and entered the public gate, where there was a children's school nearby. And the children crowded after him, saying, "He's a crazy Allah!" And they set about to run after him and box him on the ears. Similarly strange, though separated by many centuries, we read of the Holy Fool, St. Terence. St. Terence wore nothing but a knee-length shirt, and usually a shoe on only one foot. One of his favorite ways of chastising guilty people was to break a window in their home, and he would often throw handfuls of dirt on certain women. At other times, he would suddenly cry out, to evil," and then chase after the children who were frequently mocking him. St. Terence, like many others living in the modern period, was repeatedly confined in asylums for his apparent insanity. In the 20th century, a woman, also officially recognized as a saint, was to experience the fate of institutionalization as well. Within the cell where she was confined, she would scribble across the walls with her fingers dipped in her own feces. Now, in addition to this manifest lunacy, the Holy Fool is frequently homeless, hungry, and nearly or completely naked in public, regardless of the weather. And Holy Fools not only adopt homelessness as a matter of course. When sleep they must, they seek out the most degrading places. When St. Procope was overcome with exhaustion, he would lie down on a stone or a pile of manure. St. John of Lustig often rested on a manure heap if he became weary. And St. Isidore rested his body on a pile of rubbish or manure. In light of this outrageous manner of living, the question one